Welcome to the FMCG Guys podcast. This is Daniel here, live from the Retail Media Summit UK in London, and I'm sitting with no other than Jenny Holleran, who's the Group Director of Kroger Precision Marketing Sales.
Yes.
Thanks for joining.
Yes, thanks for having me.
I know that you just did some work with our friends, the CPG guys in the US.
Yes, hi guys. It was great to see them in Las Vegas.
Nice. I was in Las Vegas, but we didn't meet there.
I know.
But it's good that we get to meet here. So, can you tell us a bit about your current role at Kroger Precision Marketing?
Yes, absolutely. So Kroger is one of the largest grocers in the US, and Kroger Precision Marketing is the retail media network for Kroger. So I work with some of the best brands in the world and really allow them to connect to the Kroger customers through our retail media network.
Fantastic. And why are you here in the UK? Why are you here in Retail Media Summit UK?
Yes, I'm so excited to be at the Retail Media Summit UK. There are a lot of similarities with retail media across both the States and the UK, but also a lot of differences. So it's really been an opportunity to learn a lot about the market here, as well as share some of the developments that we've had in the States as well.
Yeah, and obviously Kroger is a loyal visitor to the summit because we had Michael Shu, who we interviewed last year. Are there any, from what you've heard, I know you spoke as well, so I think that people were probably quite eager to learn from you. Anything that you've learned from the speakers?
I think it's been really fascinating to see where the UK focuses a lot in store. You're all very in store first, and we are more digital off-site first. So to see those two merge has been really fascinating to see. I know whenever I speak to someone, they say, why didn't you start in store? Like, you already have the space. And to which I say, why didn't you start digitally? You already have the data. So now we're combining those two. So that has been really interesting. Also, measurement has been a hot topic today. And I think that's also a hot topic back in the States. So we're all facing the same challenges, or I guess we should say opportunity.
Glass half full, glass half empty.
Right, however we want to think of it. But retail media is messy, but it's a beautiful mess because there's just so much growth and opportunity ahead of us.
Sky's the limit, really.
Exactly. Yeah, and we're all in the same playing field.
I think that's an interesting thing about the consumer goods industry in general, but e-commerce especially, that it's most people really love what they do and really want to connect and talk about it.
Yes, so a lot of passion here.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to balance work and fun sometimes.
Yeah.
So, although work is fun too. So, how did you end up here? Tell me a bit about your career, how you ended up in grocery and CPG. CPG, by the way, for the listeners that don't know, is the equivalent of FMCG in the United States.
Yes. So in a way, it's very full circle. I started with, which is now Neptune in the States, which is in-store advertising. So it used to be News America Marketing when I was there. And that's where we had shelf blades and coupons at shelf and prints in the newspaper. So I was there for many years working with brands, and then continued the trajectory into the digital space. And through that time, retail media was born. So Kroger Precision Marketing just turned 7 this past weekend, and I've been lucky enough to be on that journey since we launched 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very so cool. have seen it from the very beginning to where we've grown to today.
How have you seen retail evolve in these years?
It's fascinating. So I think the belief in the data is probably one of my favorite things. So at Kroger, we have 2,700 locations, and we capture 96% of all transactions through a loyalty account. So it doesn't matter if it's cash,
That's
anything,
insane.
Everything is captured. So you can imagine just the understanding that we have of shopping behaviors, those that have an affinity to try new products, really just helping brands be more efficient and effective with their media through channels like that. But it's an education. So in talking to traditional brand teams, they're still focused on various what we call vanity metrics, impressions, click-through rates, things of that nature. So I've seen this evolution of tying all of that to performance more recently.
Yeah, to actually how much are you selling at the end of the day, no?
Totally, right? Yeah, you could have 1 million impressions, but that's not going to move units. And the beauty of retail is we care just as much as the brands do in terms of selling that product. So we have a stake in that as well. So seeing the merchandising come together from the retail side, the older brand managers that are used to traditional marketing come into this space too, it has been a lot of fun.
And if you think of what, maybe it's an obvious question, I'm just curious, like what the website looks like now.
Oh my gosh.
And the experience now to what it was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Even probably 3 years ago is very different.
Yeah, several of us that have been around from the beginning laugh all of the time because you're just constantly growing and building and that doesn't stop, which is what people like us really enjoy. Call it 10, 15 years ago, you couldn't even buy a product online. It was just looking for a store locator. Yeah. And now you think you can go on, you can place your order, it can be delivered straight to your home, you can have an interactive experience. And just that evolution in itself has totally changed how we go to market, but also the expectation of customers. How can everything be more personalized to them in that moment, the way they want it in that moment? And
it's interesting also how expectations have changed.
Oh,
I remember like pre-COVID, even maybe a bit before pre-COVID, there was a lot of conversation out like we having robots in the stores. Yes. And now that's kind of moved to more like the online part, the robot. Whereas in the store, I think that would going more to like a human experience.
Yeah, where we see in the States the largest growth for brands is coming from e-commerce. And that's not just specific to Kroger, but that's just in general where we see brands growing is in that space. So then how do we continue to meet the needs of the shopper in that space? Yeah,
which is interesting in itself because we thought that after COVID, it would come to a halt, but now we've like with retail media, full funnel, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
It will obviously not stop growing. What is like Kroger's position in the US market, in the US grocery market? Like what makes it unique? Why do like your shoppers go back to your store?
I think it's what I mentioned on that loyalty experience. So the beauty for us is capturing 96% of transactions, but really it's due to a value exchange. So we've had this loyalty program for decades. When I was much younger, you used to be able to scan the loyalty card and receive promotions in store. Since then, it's evolved to receiving fuel points. So you purchase in store or online, and then you get discounts towards fuel, providing that benefit. We've evolved that even further. You can get discounts in fresh. So understanding how customers want to receive that loyalty, we're meeting them there and they continue to come back. Also for the personalization. If you were to log on to Kroger.com, we would all have a different experience based on our purchase history. So I think just having that connectivity.
Which is something that separates the good ones from the bad ones.
Exactly, yes. How do you feel appreciated?
It's funny that you say that when you were young, like referring, and I imagine that you're referring to at least a decade ago, you had like, it was just coupons and so on.
Yes.
That's my experience still in Spain, going shopping.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really behind.
We'll get you there. But yes, it was like over a decade ago that was the experience.
To our listeners, maybe they need to get you there and teach them a few things.
I'll come over to Barcelona.
Yeah. And how does that uniqueness of Kroger transfer to your retail media proposition? Is there anything like specific, also for what the brands get, etc.?
Yes, so in the environment today, we know customers are less loyal to brands than ever before. Yeah. In a recent survey, 52% indicated they are switching to lower cost items. So brand loyalty is shifting, fragmentation in the media landscape is shifting, customers are more omni-channel. Am I on my phone? Am I on the computer? Am I in the store? You name it, I can shop anywhere now. So what we're helping brands achieve is that connectivity anywhere and to be more effective in that. So understanding your behavior, how you're engaging, do you like to try new products? Do you like spicy things? How can I interact with you in a way that will get you both inspired and for the brand side conversion? And that's really what we're tying in, I think, our point of difference with that data.
Because that's what really like the core of our audience and our guests are CPG brands, like around 60% approximately. And I think that's really like one of the struggles, I think, in marketing. The main one is really like understanding their consumer because they don't have like that direct dialogue. It's one step removed, right? So
yeah, and it goes beyond just the media. You shouldn't just approach retail media as here's my channel I want to activate it in, here's a budget, but what is that objective? Way early on, we've had brands come to us and say, we're launching a new product. Help us understand the market. So let's say it's something with a spice level. Are there customers that are more prone to eat spicy food? Are they gluten-free? How can they use that as market research? Then launch the product and drive the media specific to those segments.
And is there like any like brand collaboration that you've done that you're like, look, this is a prime example of that?
We partner with all the top FMCGs that you would think of. So we partner with all of them. I think where we see the most success is a 360 campaign. How are you engaging with someone in store, online, both on our owned and operated sites, but then also programmatically through either a display ad or connected TV. Having all of that connection is where we've seen the most success of driving impact.
And there's some good examples of that from like some influencer-led brands that are like kind of like very specific and they're really good at these things.
Yeah, it's interesting you say the influencer-led. I think one thing that our larger FMCGs have to think through is challenger brands are dangerous. They come in and they can disrupt a market in a way that they haven't been able to before because of what they can do through effective media. So just because you're a category leader before doesn't mean that you can just sit back. You have to keep engaging with your loyal customers and then also be prepared to bring in some new ones.
Yeah, totally. That will be an interesting space to see how big corporates adapt to this new dynamic of like challenger brands, because they'll have to get there at some point.
Yeah, right now in the States, I would say they're doing a great job. Like we're definitely seeing across the board and top engagement from the bigger brands for sure, just to be prepared in that space. But yeah, we don't want to see anyone sit back and then.
No, and it's great that you get also from your seat as a retailer. It's not only, okay, like I'll just sell your products, but it's really like helping them be the better marketers at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Which who would have said a few years ago that would be the case.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, and in store, so you said that the US was lagging. I heard that a year ago, Retail Media Summit as well. What have you done in store in the last year or so in terms of new capabilities linked to your retail media?
Yeah, we still do a lot of traditional in-store marketing today, really just due to the geographical nature of having the 2,700 stores across 4,000 kilometers. It proves challenging. Someone upstairs was mentioning during the event that it's complicated to launch in store. You have to think about all the various touch points, so it's not a simple thing. You have to think of even where outlets may be if you're going digital. So we're running a few digital tests now, nothing I can speak to just yet, but we're absolutely testing in that space. Yes, we'll talk about it soon.
People that listen to this podcast will know that there's this one question that we ask all our guests, which I love, which is, with everything that you've done in your career and everything that you've learned,
yes,
if you had to go back to yourself as you were starting to work, what would be that one piece of advice you would give yourself?
I think the one piece of advice is the moment that you become comfortable or stagnant, you're in trouble. You have to constantly, especially in media, be learning, be evolving. What's true today may not be true tomorrow. So you'll never know everything, and the more you can learn and absorb, the better off you'll be.